This is the planet Earth. It is a very special place. It is a living planet that is undergoing constant change. 5 billion years ago, the Earth formed along with the other planets of our solar system. It was made up of the gases and debris left over from the Sun's formation. The Earth went through millions of years of formation, which included much upheaval and volcanic activity. A vast number of plants and animals have come and gone on this planet. The fossil record dates back about 3.5 billion years and shows that a wide variety of plant and animal types have existed at one time or another on Earth. When an animal or plant species can no longer live successfully, it dies and becomes extinct. This is a natural occurrence in nature and has been happening throughout the Earth's history. However, it has been estimated that natural extinction in the past, before man's influence, averaged about one species per 1,000 years. Since the colonization of America 500 years ago, 200 plants native to America have disappeared forever. That's how long extinction is, forever. It means a plant or animal will never be seen on our planet again. Living things are dependent upon their environment and other animals and plants for survival. Ecology is the study of how plants and animals interact with each other. All living things have a special place in the ecology called their niche. This niche includes everything about where the animal lives, which is called its habitat. Examples of habitats could range from the hot, dry desert floor to the cold, dark waters of the ocean. In addition, what it eats, how much moisture it requires, how it reproduces, how much space it needs, and everything else that is necessary for that animal's way of life. Niches can be very broad or very specific. For instance, a rat can live in a variety of locations, from city sewers to barns on a farm. Their diet includes a wide range of things, from garbage in the street to grains in the field. Koala bears are animals that have a very limited diet. They live in eucalyptus forests of Australia and feed on the leaves and bark of these trees. These quiet animals were once endangered because of destruction to the forests they depend on. Their ecological niche is limited. Life exists from the bottom of the oceans to high in the atmosphere. This area is called the biosphere. The biosphere is divided further into ecosystems. These are areas where a variety of plants and animals interact and support each other. There are many types of ecosystems, like deserts, forests, and jungles. They can be huge and complex, or as simple as a backyard garden. The important thing is that the plants and animals within the ecosystem depend on each other for survival. The plants use sunlight, water, and nutrients from the soil to produce energy for their own growth and development. Green plants, in return, release oxygen into the air. The oxygen is critical to the survival of animals. Animals use the oxygen and release carbon dioxide, which is an important part of the plant's food-making process. Some animals, who are called herbivores, feed on the plants directly for their nourishment. Other animals are carnivores, who hunt and feed on other animals. And some animals, known as omnivores, will eat either plants or animals to gain their needed energy. Scavengers are animals that eat only dead organisms. These animals and plants interact with each other and form what is called a community. Nature maintains a balance between these community members, and each one plays an important role. Plants produce their own food and are called the chief producers. An animal that eats plants is called a primary consumer. An animal that eats the plant-eating animal is called a secondary consumer. The energy produced by the plant through its food-making process is transferred to the plant-eating animal and eventually to the meat-eating animal. This is an energy pyramid with the producers at the base, primary consumers higher up, and secondary consumers at the top. The pyramid shape is used to indicate that at the base there must be a large population of plants to support a much smaller number of primary consumers. Also, at the top of the pyramid is an even smaller number, often one secondary consumer, that depends on the organisms at the other levels for survival. Food chains show how different plants and animals relate to each other in the exchange of energy. Ecosystems contain more than a single food chain, and there is often overlap between food chains, as many consumers can eat a variety of things. As a result, food webs are used to show how organisms within an ecosystem interact through more than one food chain. The balance in nature between organisms is critical for survival. If the secondary consumer dies out or moves away, then the primary consumers have no predator or enemy. If too many coyotes are killed, then the jackrabbit population surges. Now there are too many of these plant eaters, and the supply of plant food available is adversely affected. If this continues, the plants may disappear, causing the animals to die or move to a new location. The members of the energy pyramids actually are of benefit to each other. They help maintain the delicate balance of nature. The predator is an animal that hunts and feeds on other animals. The animals these predators hunt are called prey. This is important because nature uses a process called evolution to help different species change with changing environments and conditions. Usually, changes in climate take place over a long period of time, so plants and animals can change gradually. In the case of predators and prey, evolution plays an important role in the success or failure of a species. Prey that are too slow or not careful and alert about their surroundings can become victims. Those that are sickly and unhealthy will be caught and eaten by predators. Also, the prey that are alert and respond quickly to dangerous situations, and the ones that are healthy, clever, or fast will escape. Those valuable traits will be passed on to their offspring. The predators also must change over time to be able to hunt and feed. If the predators don't evolve, they will die as well. As mentioned before, extinction is a natural part of the animal and plant kingdoms. Unfortunately, plants and animals are becoming extinct today at a much higher than normal rate. It is true that there have been times in the history of our planet where large numbers of species became extinct over a short period of time. One of the most famous mass extinctions happened 65 million years ago, when the dinosaurs and maybe as much as 65% of the species living at the time vanished. Scientists don't know why this happened, but it is likely that some giant disaster occurred, possibly asteroids colliding with the Earth or tremendous volcanic activity. This type of mass extinction may have happened 5 or 6 times throughout all the billions of years of life on this planet. Today, the greatest cause of plant and animal extinction on Earth is from humans. Humans are changing the face of the planet at an alarming rate. We are eliminating ecosystems throughout the world and threatening the very existence of a huge number of plants and animals. There is no way for us to know how many different kinds of species inhabit the planet with us. Estimates range from 3 to 10 million different species. Humans have described about 1.5 million of these species, which means there are so many more that should be identified and studied. Much of our understanding of medicine has come from the plant world. 25% of the drugs used to fight disease come directly from plants. As much as we need and use these plants, only 5% of them have been studied for use as medicines. The solution to many health problems may be on the brink of extinction. Plants and animals have been evolving throughout time. As the Earth's environment changes, so do the organisms that live on our planet. The environment changes slowly, except for the few dramatic catastrophes, such as the one that caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. When ecosystems change slowly, the plants and animals have time to adapt. The ones that adapt and change to fit the new environmental conditions are the ones to reproduce and pass on favorable characteristics to their offspring. Man has interfered with this process in a number of different ways. Man changes the world faster than plants and animals can adapt, so species suffer and die out. Humans are the major cause of extinction today. Habitat destruction is one of the greatest causes of plant and animal extinction. As the human population grows, more and more land is transformed from its natural condition to farms, ranches, home developments, streets, cities, and more. A major loss to the planet is the destruction of our rainforests. Rainforests cover only 7% of the Earth, but they are home to more than half of the various types of plant and animal species. Rainforests also influence the Earth's climate. The forests release a great deal of oxygen and moisture into the atmosphere, which help them grow thick and rapidly. Unfortunately, forests are being cleared to make room for cattle ranches. 40 to 50 million acres a year are cleared for this purpose. This represents an area equal to the size of the state of Washington. An additional problem is that the soil of a rainforest is not very rich, so crops can only be raised for a year or two, and then the land is useless. Farmers then move on to clear new areas, and the land is left as a dry landscape. It will not grow back as a forest because all was destroyed when the land was cleared to grow crops. Another major problem created by humans is the overhunting of animals. Throughout human existence, animals have been hunted for food, skins, hides, and even for sport. An example of a species nearly wiped out by overhunting is the American buffalo. American Indians hunted buffalo for meat and hides long before the white men moved out west. The Indians only killed what they needed. They respected nature and tried to fit in as a member of the ecosystem. However, during a 200-year period of time from 1700 to 1900, white hunters caused the near extinction of this powerful animal. At first they were hunted for food and hides, but eventually they became hunted for sport. The millions of buffalo that once roamed the prairies of the West were reduced to just a few dozen animals. Fortunately, it was realized that these animals required protection from humans, and today they are again found in large numbers. The problem would never have happened in the first place if hunters hadn't decided to hunt these animals for sport. People who hunt animals illegally for profit are called poachers. The hide, bones, or other body parts of certain animals may be considered valuable in some societies, and high prices are paid to get these animal parts. In 1989, a ban was established to try and stop the trade of ivory, which came from the tusks of elephants. Between 1979 and 1989, the number of elephants in Africa dropped from 1.5 million to around 700,000 due to the high demand for ivory. In just 10 years, more than half of the African elephants had disappeared. 200 elephants were being killed each day in 1989. The ban on ivory trade has helped, but there is still a problem with poaching. The black rhino is an endangered species because of its horn. Some countries believe that the horn makes a great medicine, and it is also used as the handle for knives. An animal is considered endangered when its population has become so small that it is in danger of becoming extinct. Some other endangered species are lowland gorillas, who live in certain areas of Africa. Their habitat is being destroyed and used as farmland. The gorillas are sometimes killed because of the damage they cause to crops. Poachers hunt the gorillas and sell the animal's head and feet as souvenirs. The Bengal tiger and the rare white Bengal tiger are found in India. In the early 1900s, there were more than 40,000 tigers in India, but by the 1970s, there were less than 1,800. Hunting and the sale of their valuable skins nearly wiped them out. However, since 1972, the Indian government has set up a number of reserves to provide complete protection for these beautiful animals. Because of this protection, the tiger population has doubled in the past 20 years to over 4,000. The walrus, who lives in a very isolated area of the earth, was almost eliminated in the early 1900s. People hunted them for their ivory tusks and their blubber, which was used to make oil. The walrus is only legally hunted by Alaskan natives, who need the walrus for food and clothing. Another animal that lived in what might have seemed to be a protected, isolated area is the polar bear. They are threatened by low-flying planes, which make it easy for hunters to find them and shoot these magnificent animals. Illegal hunting and water pollution have hurt the polar bear population also. These animals have special adaptations to help them survive in the harsh conditions of the Arctic region. They have hollow hair all over their body that traps air and keeps them warm, just like the insulation in a house. The hair of a polar bear is white, but the skin is black, so the skin can absorb heat from the sun. The feet of the bear are covered with dense hair, even on the soles of their feet. This helps to insulate them from the ice. The forepaws are even slightly webbed to help in swimming. Closer to home in the United States, there are animals that are endangered. In fact, the symbol of our country, the bald eagle, was on this list from 1978 to 1994. By the way, the term bald meant something different back in colonial times. Back when the bald eagle was named, the term bald meant white. You can see why the eagle was given this name when you see its beautiful white head and neck area. Eagles were hunted, poisoned by DDT and other pollutants, and generally hurt by human population growth. DDT was a chemical used to kill insect pests. It got into the eagles and caused their eggshells to be weakened. In 1972, the chemical was banned. In 1994, the population of mating eagle pairs rose to over 4,000, and the status of this magnificent bird was changed from endangered to threatened. The American crocodile is endangered. There are only 50 known mating pairs. The American alligator was also on the endangered species list until 1987. The alligator of the American South is a good example of how some animals actually impact an ecosystem to a greater extent than other species. The alligator digs a hole called a gator hole, which is a small pond that becomes home to far more animals than just the alligator. During dry spells, the gator hole may be the only place in a swamp where there is water, so other animals depend on the gator hole. Species such as plankton, bass, bullfrogs, otters, and many others could not survive during times of drought if the gator holes were gone. Manatees are a wonderfully peaceful species that feed on water plants. Moving slowly with grace and ease, these huge animals spend all their time in the water. They are in danger because of the propellers of speedboats. These animals can't get out of the way of fast-moving boats, and because they feed in shallow areas, the blades can cause great damage by cutting into the skin and tissues of the manatee. People must learn to respect the areas where manatees feed and slow their boats to avoid hurting any of these terrific animals. They serve an important role in feeding on the weeds that often clog canals and dams. People who have had a chance to see these marvelous creatures close up will understand how important it is that humans do whatever they must to protect these animals. That brings up an important point about some of the things people are doing to help animal species of all kinds. Establishing laws to protect animals is obviously an important step. Another important aid to species survival is the establishment of protected reserves and zoos where the animals can live safely and have a chance to build up their numbers. The buffalo would have been hunted to extinction if a group of people hadn't stepped in and set up a protected reserve area for the few that were left. Places like bush gardens are committed to preserving animal species. Most animals in these special parks are kept in areas that resemble their natural habitat. This is much more costly than the traditional cages found at many zoos, but in the long run, it is best for the animals, and it gives visitors an opportunity to really appreciate the varied ecosystems of the world. That brings up another important reason why places like bush gardens are so important. They educate people. People have a chance to see these wonderful animals that share this planet with us. People can appreciate the grandeur of nature and possibly understand why it is so important for humans to do the right thing when it comes to interacting with other species. Humans have made many mistakes and have done a great deal of damage to the natural world. But humans are also capable of correcting mistakes and ensuring a safe and healthy existence for all of nature's creatures. It's up to everyone to do their part.